Welcome back to Dark Souls. Since I've made it through that little discussion about myself and what I think about Dark Souls as a whole, there's nothing holding us back from entering the final door and becoming the Dark Lord. But before we do that, I'm in Ash Lake. I bet you're wondering why I'm here. Well, first, remember when we came across this skull? I could not tell you for the life of me what it was. Well, now, I think I happen to know exactly what it is. This skull belonged to none other than the nameless blacksmith deity. It's too large, too human-shaped to be a dragon skull, and too big to be a god skull. We don't know what the giant blacksmith looked like. For all we knew, he could have had fangs. Sen, the nameless blacksmith deity. This is his skull. He died, and his skull was dumped here in the lake. I have no other explanation for this, so I think we'll just leave it at that. As for us, there's a little more that I'd like to see. What if we walk all the way back to our bonfire? The one we saw when we entered through the Great Hollow. Sticks and stones, it's happening. If that Age of Dark does come, it might all get replaced by this one day. Back to normal. The natural logic of the world.
Ôi có lẽ mấy Everything to do He will cause no more trouble. Finally over. I will return to Katarina. You assisted us so greatly. I can hardly return the favor, but please accept this. It's of no use to me now. Dear Father.
Sigmire of Katarina is dead. He went hollow down here when he went on his final adventure, and Sieglind had to put him down. Sieglind will now leave and head to Katarina with her father's body. I'm not very sure about why Sigmire died. It could be that when he heard his wife's last words, he lost it. It could be that when he tried to enter Ash Lake, he was defeated by a Hydra, and he was killed so many times that he eventually turned hollow and gave up on his attempt to become an adventurer. It could be that after being saved by us so many times that he really couldn't take it anymore. His sanity was slipping. He even tried to kill himself to save us. And it all culminates in this. As for Sieglind here, well, for one, as a regular human, she was very brave to come down through the Great Hollow and into Ash Lake. Not many people find this place. And as another thing about her, I said a long time ago that Sieglind is easily distinguishable from her father because she does not use a Zweihander. She uses a bastard sword. I wondered if that was significant. That's because it is. Sieglind is Siegmeyer's bastard child. A bastard child is a child born of two people who are not married. And even though probably what he did with who knows what, but she still feels indebted to him because Sieglind may not have become a knight without Siegmeyer here. And her line will go and continue the tradition of Katarina Knights. Thank you for everything, Siegmeyer of Katarina. You know what? I'm kind of glad he's dead, because he won't have to see what we do next. Goodbye. I'd like to head to the Chamber of the Princess before we go through the final door in the Firelink Altar. Now, I bet you're wondering what I'm doing here, back in Guinevere's chambers. I bet you're wondering what I'm doing here. Well, I'll tell you. If you're wondering why I'm back here at Guinevere's chambers, I'm gonna tell you. We have some item descriptions that we have never read. I think there's some rings. Right. The first one I'd like to read is this one. The Dark Moon Seance Ring. The first time we showed off this ring, I blurred a little bit out of it. I blurred a little bit of it out. And I did it for a reason. Because I wanted to read the description right now. This ring is granted to adherents of Gwyndolin, Dark Moon deity and last born of Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight. The Dark Sun Gwyndolin is the only remaining deity in Anor Londo. His followers are few, but their tasks are of vital importance. The only remaining deity in Anor Londo? Then how do you explain this? How do you explain Ornstein? He can't be the only remaining deity in Anor Londo. Well, let's read a little bit further. The next ring, the Ring of the Sun Princess. This ring is granted to those who enter a covenant with Guinevere, daughter of Lord Gwyn and the Princess of Sunlight. The Princess of Sunlight Guinevere left Anor Londo, along with many other deities. and later became wife to flame god Flann. Guinevere left. Then what? Then what are the Silver Knights protecting? What were Ornstein and Smough protecting? If this isn't Guinevere, what is it? And for that, we turn to no other place but the Darkmoon Blade Covenant Ring. Ring granted to those bound by the Darkmoon Blade Covenant. Gwyndolin, all too aware of his repulsive, frail appearance, created the illusion of a sister Guinevere, who helps him guard over Anor Londo. An unmasking of these deities would be tantamount to blasphemy. It's a lie. It was all a lie. From the moment we escaped the Undead Asylum, it was a lie. Twisted by not just Frampt, but Gwyndolin too. When Gwyn left, Gwyndolin was left in charge of the city. And he made an illusion of Guinevere, so it would look like Anor Londo has not fallen, even though all the gods have left. No one lives here anymore. It's all an illusion. An unmasking of those deities would be tantamount to blasphemy. Is that so?
Thou hast filled the Lord vessel. Indeed, a worthy successor thou shalt be. My patience was not for nil. I beg of thee, succeed Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the world's fire. We have only thee. Now thou shalt go forth, chosen undead. May thou be one with the sunlight forevermore.
Inheriteth the world's fire. Yeah, right. You want fire? I'll give you fire. I declare war.
Thou that tarnisheth the Godmother's image, I am Gwyndolin. And thy transgression shall not go unpunished. Thou shalt perish in the twilight of Anor Londo.
The illusion of Guinevere has been broken. And with that, not just that illusion, but it seems that there was no sun over Anor Londo either. It was all fake. Faked by Gwyndolin. To trick hapless undead into becoming sacrifices to link the fire. Apparently we'll be punished for this. We're being watched now. You know what? I think we're gonna give Gwyndolin exactly what he deserves. Exactly what he deserves. We're gonna kill him. I don't know why, but the dark version of Anor Londo has always been terrifying to me. The Darkmoon Blades are everywhere now, especially if you're online. Darkmoon Blades will be after you. Now, since we're in the former cathedral of Anor Londo, do you get the feeling that Ornstein and Smough might have been illusions too? if they were made specifically to guard Guinevere, or at least the illusion of her, maybe they were fake too. Well, I'll tell you this. Ornstein, the one we fought, is absolutely an illusion. In the Dragonless Age, this knight who long guarded the ruined cathedral left the land in search for the nameless king. Remember the statue we saw in the sunlight altar? It had a spear that looked very familiar. That's because it was the spear of Dragon Slayer Ornstein. Because the nameless firstborn son of Gwyn, his first knight was Ornstein. And after the firstborn was exiled, Ornstein left this place to search him. His job may have originally been to guard the illusion of Guinevere, but he was replaced by an illusion. As for Smough, I get the feeling Smough is real. If he wasn't, he would not have attempted to crush Ornstein in the way that he did to absorb his soul. But I do not think Smough knew he was guarding an illusion. He's not that smart. And he would fall with his city. Let's head forward. Now we're the sinners. The two sentinels disappear, to be replaced by these two. These are Darkmoon Knights. You get exactly what you deserve. No human should ever Wow, I got parried. That's one. And the other one is, of course, wearing the Baronite armor. That's that. Now, if you're wondering about the Silver Knights, especially since when you kill them, or when you even attack them, they drop this mist, even when they're defeated. Despite that, the Silver Knights were real. The ones who went with Gwyn to fight demons and to head to Link the Fire, they would become the Black Knight. They were the Black Knights. The Silver Knights stayed here, completely unaware that what they were guarding was an illusion. Before we head to the spinning contraption, I actually want to visit the giant blacksmith. Because we have an ember back from Seath's Regal Archives to give to him. It seems that the giant blacksmith was not an illusion. No one home. Everyone gone. He knew. But he couldn't leave because he was a slave.
What's that? Shiny, shiny. Give me that. I make weapons shiny.
Give Crystal Ember.
I had shiny, shiny. I make weapons shiny.
And with that ember, he can make crystal weapons. Unfortunately, they cannot be reverted, and they also break, being impossible to repair. There's actually something I do want to buy from the giant blacksmith. Armor, right here. The giant armor. the giant gauntlets, and the giant leggings. I think I'll also buy the giant helm, just for fun. Thank you.
Comment soon.
I just want you to know, Giant Blacksmith, that your friend, Hawkeye Goth, he's doing just fine. Kind of. For all we know, he could be long dead in this current time. Do we just leave him like that? No thanks. Goodbye.
Stop that.
Better than suffering with these creatures. The creatures that they call gods. You don't deserve to be doing anything for them. We get the blacksmith giant hammer. Let's see, where is it? Wooden hammer of the giant blacksmith in Anor Londo who handles lightning weapons. The giant blacksmith forges with this wooden hammer, as it would be hazardous to handle lightning weapons with metals. At least they were considerate. Now, for the armor he gave us, it's time to talk about something before we head to Gwendolyn to rip him apart. If I equip the giant armor, leggings, and gauntlets, where's the rest of it? I also would like to equip the Zweihander and the Grass Crest Shield, and finally, to complete the look, the Mask of the Father. What would this make? This is Giant Dad. I'll head outside to give you a better view. This is a popular build that used to pretty much dominate the PvP scene back in the day. Because if you just did this, you would be able to not just have the poise to take any attack, but also there would be no dodging out of this. It was nigh invincible. Imagine when the Darkwood Grain Ring was 50% instead of 25%. You could see these guys ninja flipping. This is broken. And this is basically... Giant Dad is the poster child of all Dark Souls memes. I'm just going to put everything else back on. I won't be needing that either. Yeah, that should do it. There. Now it can keep going. As for this darkness is covering the entire land of Lordran right now. Remember what I said about the constant darkness over the Darkroot Garden? Yeah, not exactly. Thing is, it was just the first to lose its luster. turns out, the entire land of Lordran was covered in dark. Didn't just affect Ulasil, it went further. Just took a little longer. I don't know if I've said this, but it's my theory that in this universe, Gwyn created the sun. He's the one who brought light into a land that lacked it. A land that lacked light or darkness. There was just nothing. Created the sun, and when he linked the fire, the sun went out. And Gwyndolin created a fake sun, an illusion, that once Guinevere's illusion was dispelled, the darkness would return to Anor Londo. By getting rid of the sun in Anor Londo, you're signifying to those who remain that the dark is here to replace them. Oh, would you look at that? The contraption is down.
So it was you, was it? How dare you produce a blade upon a deity? How did you ever get this far? I shall end your suffering here and now. It is the least that I can do. But how? This man is a threat, Master Gwyndolin.
And so, the Dark Moon Nidus is dead. And we obtain our Firekeeper soul. That's what you get for siding with them. It was futile to resist. Now let's take a look at that Firekeeper soul. Soul of the Dark Moon Nidus, Firekeeper of Anor Londo. Firekeeper's soul is a draw for humanity, and held within their bosoms, below just a thin layer of skin, are swarms of humanity that writhe and squirm. Her brass armor serves to disguise this ghastly form. All Firekeepers are disabled in some way. Anastasia back at Firelink Shrine was mute and crippled. The fair lady was consumed with the blight pus. She was slowly dying. And the Dark Moon Nidus here was pretty much completely scorched, from head to toe. Who knows why? They're not normal, let's just say that. Now, let's bring the contraption back. Because Gwyndolin is down there. We turn the contraption back down. I said down. bonfire seems to be still lit. Even though the sun has gone out, the first flame is just barely holding on. I'm gonna take a rest. And now we'll head in. If you've dispelled the illusion, the statue of Gwyn in this tomb will go away automatically. Now, we go through the fog door and enter the tomb of Gwyn, to Gwendolyn's orders.
Heretic. First thou offendeth the Godmother, and now thou see fit to trample upon the tomb of the great Lord. I am the Dark Sun, Gwyndolin. Let the atonement for thy felonies commenceth. O heretic, swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
Victory achieved, I guess. The Dark Sun Gwyndolin has been defeated. All he could do was produce an endless hallway and shoot his sorcery at us. In all honesty, we didn't even leave. We just started entering the room. He stood no chance against us. We fell to God himself. Soul of Gwyndolin, soul of Darkmoon Gwyndolin, god of the Dark Sun and guardian of deserted Anor Londo. Use the soul of Gwyn's lastborn to acquire a huge amount of souls, or to create a unique weapon. Well, now that we're here, we can see Gwyn's tomb. There it is. There seems to be a chest in here. Inside it is the brass set. That's the armor of the Darkmoon Nidus. Armor of the Darkmoon Nidus, Firekeeper of Anor Londo. After becoming undead, she visited the Dark Sun Gwyndolin at the Mausoleum of the Spiral Depths, became a Blade of the Dark Moon, and assumed the flame-keeping duty. She received this armor, which hides her hideous form and helps her hunt the guilty. She was kind of banished from her own country. Since she had a parrying dagger with her, you could assume that she could have been from Carim, because Oswald of Carim and Lautrec of Carim also use parrying daggers. She was kicked out, and who else but a god himself gave her an opportunity of a lifetime. She also used the Darkmoon Blade miracle against us, meaning she was at least level 1 in the Covenant she was in. And before we go forward towards the rest of the chest, the rest of the tomb, I want to talk a little about Gwyndolin. Well, first, after he is defeated, his armor will be purchasable. I'm not going to tell you where, because I don't feel like going there. Before we talk about that, before we read the descriptions, you ever think that Gwyndolin doesn't really look like a guy, does he? Well, let's see. Crown of the Dark Sun Gwyndolin, protector of the forsaken city of Anor Londo. This crown of the gods demands faith immeasurable of its wearer, but it is imbued with Darkmoon power that enhances all magic. The image of the sun manifests Gwyndolin deep adoration of the sun. If he really loved the sun, then why is he the Dark Sun? The Dark Sun is the moon. And actually, his crown looks vaguely familiar. Like a sunlight maggot, it looks like to me. That's just something I picked up. It reminds me of a sunlight maggot. And now, the robe of the Dark Sun Gwyndolin. The power of the moon was strong in Gwyndolin, and thus he was raised as a daughter. His magic garb is silk thin, and hardly provides any physical defense. That's because he was raised as a daughter. That's why he doesn't really look like a guy or sound like one. That's because Gwyndolin is a trap. He is well, I'm not going to call him what the internet thinks he is, because I am not going to open that huge can of worms. All I'm going to say is that he was born a man, he is still a man, and for some reason, since Gwyndolin loved the moon so much, Gwyn made him act like a girl. Going even so far as to give him a ring to change his posture. That is, well, that's just one on the list of many questionable things that Gwyn has done. Now I want to read the descriptions of the items that can be born from his soul. Like the tin Darkmoon longbow, Bow born from the soul of Dark Sun Gwyndolin, Dark Moon deity who watches over the abandoned city of gods, Anor Londo. This golden bow is imbued with powerful magic, and is most impressive with moonlight arrows. More moonlight. And you can also get the Tin Darkmoon Catalyst. Catalyst born from the soul of the Dark Sun Gwyndolin. Gwyndolin is Gwyn's last born, and a legitimate god, but he is also a moon sorcerer, and this wand is boosted by faith, not intelligence. The Dark Moon... He's a sorcerer, but the people who follow him use the Darkmoon Blade Miracle. He can't use miracles because miracles are for those who love the sun. The sorcery is more related to the moon than the sun. Again, he's not a girl. Despite what anyone says, he's a guy. He. And I think that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, there's the tomb. Not just a tomb. We have another chest. But this one... This chest is the only chest in the game that is empty. Not a mimic. Empty. I do not know what was in this chest. As for this chair, despite what Gwyn did to him, Gwyndolin sat here. Before he saw us, he was sitting here at the back of the altar, patiently awaiting the day that his father would return. He still loved him, despite what he did to him. He even left flowers on his tomb. Now, let's see what's in this chest. We obtained the miracle, Sunlight Blade. What would this be doing here? Miracle wielded by Lord Gwyn's firstborn. Boost right weapon with rays of sun. The power of sunlight, manifested as lightning, is very effective against dragons. When the eldest son was stripped of his deific status, he left this on his father's coffin, perhaps as a final farewell. When he was banished for who knows what. If I said it before, I'll say it now. Turning against him and siding with the dragons. Despite the fact, the firstborn also loved his father dearly. And he left this, and he left his ring at his tomb before he left. And I think that's that. The story of the children of Gwyn ends here. Who knows where the firstborn is now? It cannot be Solaire because of the things that I said about him before. It can't be him. So, Guinevere is completely gone and Gwendolen's dead. He gets what he deserves. Because if we followed blindly, he would lead us to our death. I guess the most respectful thing we can do right now is get rid of his dad too. They can all be up there together. Or should I say down there for the heresy against nature. I will see you back at the Abyss, ready to go to the Firelink Altar. Here we are, back at the Abyss. Before we go speak with Koth and turn in the Lord's souls, I have a message to say to someone who still remains in Lordran. I'm talking to you, Trusty Patches. If I succeed in becoming the Dark Lord and bending the world to my will, I'll give you a part of the Dark Lore. You can rule right with me if you want, Patches. We're friends. Just wanted to get that out there. Now, let's go.
What is it? I am your guardian. Go on, state your wish.
Take me to the Firelink Altar.
Very well. Be still. Entrust thy flesh to me.
Now, we return to the Lord Vessel and offer the souls. Let's do it. The Lord's souls have been offered, and the final door is open.
Magnificent. You have followed my teachings faithfully. You are the true Lord of men, the Dark Lord. Now go forth and rid us of that enfeebled Gwyn. I, Koth, shall await you here.
Well, we're not exactly serving you, Koth, because when this is all over, you'll be serving us as the true Lord of Men. Now, before we go, I have to talk a little bit about Frempt and Koth. It is my belief that these two are in truth the same being. They're one long primordial serpent with more than one head. There's a head at each end. What are the odds that they both take you to the same Firelink Altar? They look identical. Koth takes you up from there into the altar, but Frempt drops down from above from Firelink Shrine into the same Firelink Altar. Well, first we can say that this Firelink Altar is not normal. There is no way that the Abyss and the Firelink Shrine lead to the same place. That is impossible. This is not a normal place. And these two, Koth and Frempt, are two sides of the same coin. They're both primordial serpents. In fact, they both wanted the same thing, but as Koth said, Frampt lost his sense and befriended Lord Gwyn, against Koth's wishes. That's why some say that it could have been Frampt who told the Elysians to dig up Manus. As for what happened in New Londo, that was absolutely Koth, because they are the Dark Race of Koth. That was all his fault. But I still do think that what happened in Elysiel was because of Koth. Because Frampt is the one who convinced Gwyn to link the fire. Before we go through the final door, we have something to do. We need to make a few more level ups. The final ones. 1, 2, 3. That should do it. At level 78, we are going to finally complete the build. It is complete. Truly. With Havel's Ring, we have access to the fast roll. Without this, do not go any further. But we have it. We had the souls to purchase it. And now, we can head through the final door. Let's go. Goodbye, Lord Thran. Welcome to the Kiln of the First Flame. Remember how I said there was a few other themes that I liked? The one we just heard before, on the stairs to the kiln, was one of them. Gwyn's Faithful Knights. That name alone should speak for itself. And what do we see when we're crossing the final door? We see ash. Ash as far as the eye could see. Like Lost Izalith before, Gwyn took that idea and made a kiln of his own. There is nothing here. It's just a straight walk to the kiln. Not exactly. There are some survivors. Black Knights. But I'm pretty sure you know how to fight them by now. As for what they drop, this is your only chance to get any kind of Black Knight weapon. If you did not get it before, you can get it now. From any of these Black Knights. They also drop a bunch of Titanite chunks specifically. And they're guaranteed to drop as well. They followed him bravely into the kiln, and they would be burned up. This is what they get for their loyalty. They're simple spirits that wander Lordran. Maybe that's what we saw to the path to the kiln. We saw those Black Knights wandering to wander the rest of the universe. And there's the kiln. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. Just look at those marks. Those are green. All of this imagery is terrifying, but at the same time, it looks beautiful to me. That's what you get. And here is our final item. What is it? The Black Knight set. We finally get it. Let's take a look. Armor of the Black Knights who haunt Lordran. The knights followed Lord Gwyn when he departed to link the fire, but they were burnt to ashes in a newly kindled flame, wandering the world as disembodied spirits ever after. When Gwyn linked the fire, everything around the kiln exploded, leaving nothing but ash in its wake. They were not turned black because of this explosion. That was from fighting the Chaos Demons of Izalith. But what truly ended them was their own leader. They bravely followed him, and this is the thanks they get. He took them down with him. Like the explosion of the Chaos Flame before. It's not long now. Very soon, we'll reach the kiln. That's the place. We can't see anything from there. But it seems that's the way. Gwyn should be very close. We just have a few Black Knights who, despite what their master did to them, they're still loyal to him. That's depressing. Because then again, Gwyn is the one who gave them purpose in life. Without dragons to hunt, what would they do? Nothing. No Black Knight halberd, but that's perfectly fine with me. Well, actually that's not what we want. We need to keep Havel's ring on, for the fast roll. I guess we have no choice. The fog gate is there. It's time. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. We must destroy Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, if he's even still breathing. For that explosion could have killed him. Well, let's go. I'd like you to take a listen to Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder, has been destroyed. Where do I begin? Let's just say that, on the whole, I do not like final bosses, most final bosses. Either they're overwhelmingly difficult, or they're not as interesting as what came before them. Gwyn is the one exception to that rule. He's the only boss that can be parried, because he's not even worthy of being a boss. He's lost everything. And he set himself on fire to make sure that he could preserve just his last shred of dignity. But he couldn't even keep that. And I think the song that plays during his fight is one of the best pieces of music I have ever heard in my life, video games or no. And I think it speaks a lot for Dark Souls itself. It's a beautiful song, but when you put context in, you're finishing off a dying lord who can barely even put up a fight. But he will give you a fight. He may not be able to use lightning, but he has the fires of the first flame. Surprisingly, that's also his weakness. Fire. Because at the end, this old man, who was afraid of the dark, was weak to the thing that he controlled. I can't even explain it. Let's read the description of his soul. Soul of Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight and Cinder, who linked the first flame. Lord Gwyn bequeathed most of his power to the gods, and burned as cinder for the first flame. But even so, Lord Gwyn's soul is a powerful thing indeed. He bequeathed parts to his 4 knights, at least to Ornstein. He also split his soul with the 4 kings, and to Seath the Scaleless, and even then, he was still the most powerful lord. And his soul was strong enough to link the fire. He was lord of nothing but cinder, because his age is in ruins. Nothing but cinders. The title Lord of Cinder comes when you offer your soul and successfully link the fire. If we chose to link the fire, we would become a Lord of Cinder ourselves. But, of course, as you know, we're not gonna do that. And I think I've said before why. Well, who knows what it would bring forth? It would just bring forth more decay. The age of the gods is long, long over. We've put them all down. But when you think about the alternative, when you think about what the 4 kings did, or what Koth did when Manus was set free, that idea does not look very appealing either. And when you think about it, it really doesn't sound appealing. that's because it isn't. Neither of these endings are ideal. Here we have our last chance to make things right. Or at least what the gods consider right. Not like any of them will be alive to see what we do. Or we can leave the first flame to die. You know what? If we let the Age of Dark come, a god or two might survive. A giant or two might survive. But it would be mostly taken over by humans. Specifically us, reigning as the Dark Lord. With primordial serpents as my servants. This is a very different kind of Dark Lord than most media considers a Dark Lord. In media, the Dark Lord is mainly a name to use for the harbinger of all destruction who is pure evil and can't understand the good. This is a different kind of Dark Lord. We're only Dark Lord in name. And you know what? I think I've made my decision. The only way to end the story where everything is perfectly wrapped together, the only way to end that is to allow the story to end. No regrets.
Bless thy safe return. Let Karth and Fraft serve your highness. We are here to serve your highness. Let true dark be cast upon the world. Our Lord returns.
So ends Dark Souls. With the Dark Lord taking his throne, Koth, and not just Koth, Frampt, and all those other primordial serpents will serve us. I will lead towards the success of all humans, good or evil, to make sure they will live. But will there even be light once the Dark Lord truly takes root? Who knows? Frampt has no choice but to serve the Dark Lord, as the prophecy foretells. Well, we've done it. Personally, I think we made the right decision. Now, let's list off some of the accomplishments that the Chosen Undead, or Dark Lord, has made. Well, he's slain the 4 Knights of Gwyn, personally put the line of Izalith to an end. And another lord, Grave Lord Nito, has been put down. We managed to fell 1, 2, 3 dragons from the Age of Ancients. 1 true dragon, which was Calamite. We even managed to put down our ancestor Manus, the furtive pigman. On top of all that, we managed to fell the most powerful being in the universe, Gwyn. We killed him. Turns out he wasn't so different after all from us humans. And you'd say, that's a pretty good list of accomplishments. He's a living killing machine. But what about those we've lost on the way there? Laurentius, blinded by his desire to be a master pyromancer, foolishly gave his pyromancy flame to us. And he was driven to Blighttown, where he would never see his idol. The crestfallen warrior, losing his purpose in being our guide, threw himself into basically a place where those commit suicide, and he went hollow. Rhea, after losing everything in her life, got thrown away like garbage. She relinquished her faith, and she went hollow. Logan and Griggs wanted to tamper in things they could not understand, and they lost their minds searching for it. Solaire, he was always searching for a purpose, but no matter where he looked, he could not find it. And he resorted to a fake purpose, a temporary physical purpose. And of course, Siegmeyer, consistently making an attempt to say that he's something that he's not. Siegmeyer is not an adventurer. He lied to himself, he lied to everyone. And I think I'll say one more prayer for Oscar. Because without him, we never would have made it this far. Thank you, Oscar of Astora. I'll always remember you. I'll remember all of you. And so ends Dark Souls.